Hey guys, back in the shop working on the F100. Today I'm going to try and get some things tackled with the core support with getting that mounted. Once we have that mounted, we can tie in the front clip, get some things ran like the wiring and whatnot. If you like what you see here today, please like and share the video, consider subscribing. Let's get started. This is the core support out of the truck. This isn't going to really work here for us now. But everything attaches to this point here. So what I've decided, we're going to do away with this. And I went and I grabbed the core support that held the front end together on the car. If you get into any of these projects, I highly recommend don't throw anything away. My neighbors hate me right now because everything's piled up in my driveway that's scrapped from this car, but it works out nicely when I need stuff like this. Here on the ends, I cut the support short, but I just cut it even with the edge of the frame. We're going to have to do a lot of fabrication here anyway, but I figured right there's probably a good point to go ahead and cut that off. The main piece that ties everything together on the front end of this truck is this piece right here that bolts to the top of that core support. So I'm going to try and get this mounted to the car's core support, and that should give a nice solid point to mount the whole front clip to and get everything worked off of. Since I don't have the front core support to mount to the frame in order to get the height of where we're going to mount that front piece there for it, I had to figure out how high that I'm going to go and make this. I did some research online and found some measurements that told me how far the front core support was on the frame and how high the frame was where it mounts at the body mounts. So I did the math and measured from the body mounts down to the floor, got that, and then measured up the correspondingly difference to where that core support bottom would have been. Since I have the core support, I measured the length of the core support, found how tall that was, measured the difference from that to the top of the core support from the car that I have, and figured out the difference that I need to have right there. What I'm going to do is cut some spacers out of some pipe right now to put in between there, just to hold it in place while I kind of get everything lined up, so then I can get a good accurate measurement on what I need to make actual brackets that will go from the existing core support from the car to hold that front piece on the truck there and keep everything in line the way that it should be, so I don't have the front end sitting higher than the rest of the body. Hopefully this makes a little bit better sense than what it was I was trying to explain there, where I put those pipes in there just to get this piece up so that it's about at the right height. It's not exactly, but it's going to be close enough to where then we can get measurements on making brackets, because here's where the core support was, so we're going to need to make a piece that goes from here to here and mounts up there. But I want to make sure that front to back I've got that in the correct spot before I get into welding something in there permanently for it. In order to get the placement right of this front to back, left to right, kind of like this, I have the original rods that were hooked to this. The front end was mostly aligned when the truck was still together, so I'm hoping that putting these in here should get me pretty close to getting everything lined back up. After getting this together, I think that this is going to work like this. Changed my mind a little bit here with these brackets that'll hold this piece on. I was going to weld them to this core support, but I think I'm going to make it so that it's a bolt-on so that I can move it around if I need to change it. If this isn't just the way that I thought that it needed to be, it needs to be raised or lower, I have the flexibility to do that and just take that piece out and scrap it and build a new one for that. Everything looks pretty good here. I think I am going to go before I get started on that and just bolt the fenders up, test fit everything, make sure that this is where it is and my measurements are correct with that. Now that I've got everything together, it looks like that front end may still be a little higher than I want. I'm going to go and take the hood, try and do a little test fit. I'm just trying to get into the ballpark. I can always fine tune the adjustments on all this later on. I just want to make sure that I'm close to where I'm not really fighting something down the road. This is some of the fitment issues that I'm seeing, because I can see in the paint right here. On this side, that looks pretty good. The reason that you see this difference is because there's that fender welt that goes there. That's why you're seeing the black on the difference. So that actually is fitting correctly on this one. On this, it just seems a little high from what I remember. That may be right. It's been over a year since I've had this back together. But then on this side, I'm seeing a bigger gap here where it goes down through there, and clearly that's not going to work because the fender mounting holes are right there for it. However, this fender has seen better days, so I'm not sure if it's just the fender was bent and that's what's keeping that pushed out. So that's why I want to test fit the hood, because once I have the hood laid down here, that should be lining up pretty well there, and then I can get a rough on the gaps that will get along the top here. So if the hood's fitting there and along the front, then I'd say that this fender is just bent right there. Now that the hood's on, I feel a lot better about it. There's a big gap here, but it's because the hood's pushed forward here in the front. Whenever I try and push that back, I can't tape it and show you at the same time, but it closes that gap up pretty good. And then when the hood would be back in there with the hood hinges on, that closes that up to pretty straight there. There's a big gap there, but that's because the fenders aren't properly bolted to the frame just quite yet. This side matches up pretty good already right there. And same thing here. You know, I can live with all that because we don't have the hood hinges on. So that looks pretty good there. So I'm thinking everything is in the place that it needs to be. It's just this fender over here, it's really seen better days. So I'm thinking it's just bent out at the bottom and it just needs pulled back, and that'll get that lined up. Since we're no longer going to be using the F100's core support, we might as well go and hack off the tops of these, because this is already at the right angle. No sense reinventing the wheel. I can just weld a plate on the bottom, then I'll have something good to bolt to. This piece here bolts directly to this. So I want to try and keep this portion of it flush with the core support, and hopefully I can adjust that so that it all fits right there. Worked out nicely. Right how I wanted that. Later on we might put something in there, I don't know, something to clean that up maybe. I haven't really got that far yet. But underneath, you can see this is pretty flush right there. I'm hoping that these panels that come over here will just line up flush with that. Probably have to do a little bit more trimming. But I think I'm going to leave those just the way they are for now. I think that's going to do it for today. I don't want to permanently attach those pieces just quite yet. I want to see how this is going to bolt up with all that. Make sure that everything fits nicely before I make anything permanent or semi-permanent there for it. If you liked the video, please like and share. Consider subscribing. We'll see you next time.